You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
What is your bone to pick? Because the Marlins are still magical somehow in the middle of September.
Yeah, but I'm missing it because here's the thing. I did sign up for this app, right? And I found a special deal that was going to get me $5 off. So instead of $19.99 a month, it was $14.99 a month. And I was doing my budgeting, and I said, you know what? 3 months, I can do that, right? And then I'll just cancel as soon as the season's over. Because even if they make the postseason, none of those playoff games are on the channel anyway, so I can just cancel, right? So then yesterday I go to tune in to see what's happening.
Do you keep up with that, by the way? I have trouble sometimes remembering stuff that I need to cancel, or I'm going to go free trial, and then I'm not going to notice it for a couple of credit cards.
That's the trick, Dan.
Well, that's a whole business model.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But how are you guys? Are you guys meticulous about how you handle that
I
stuff?
am.
I try to put calendar reminders in there.
That's the thing you're meticulous about?
I'm teasing.
That's the one thing in your life you're meticulous about, going and canceling that Showtime that you got for a week for free.
Well, so I have one that I can't for the life of me figure out how to cancel, and I think that it's because of our boss, John Skipper, and it's ESPN Plus. I cannot for the life of me figure out how to cancel it.
It always comes back. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. I can't even figure out.
So they're haunting us? ESPN is taking us money
Dan,
from
you
the
don't
beyond
understand. There are so many layers you have to get through to cancel ESPN Plus. It's insane. They make you cancel on the same device you used to register for it on. And I have no idea what device that was.
They're trying to Kirk Angle you?
It could have been an old...
Yes.
So
I signed up for that on a Palm Pilot.
Exactly right.
You just give up and you have like 9 subscriptions.
100% right.
Such a great business model.
It's the craziest thing.
Is
It's
awesome. That's so good.
Like 3 phones ago or something, and I don't have that phone anymore, so I can't cancel it. And then here's the worst part.
Stuck with it.
I can't find the credit card that I'm being charged for on that. So I can't even cancel the card to get out of it that way. I just know I continue to have access for it. I can't find the charge for it. I can't cancel it. I can't find the device that I signed up for it on. And now because I have Hulu Plus Live TV, I get it for free as part of that. So I don't need it anymore the other way that I got it, and I can't figure out how to undo it. I can't find the way to cancel it.
Billy, I have had this exact same problem with ESPN Plus for like 2 years now. I keep getting charges for it. I tried logging into my credit card because you can like unsubscribe from things through your credit card. You can be like, cancel this purchase or whatever. I can't even do it for ESPN Plus. It will not let me. It just doesn't make any sense. They've been charging me like, I don't know, $4.99 now for like 2 years.
The price goes up.
Every single month. I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like, this is how much money I've spent on ESPN Plus, and I've been using Chris Whittingham, so I don't need this. And it's so annoying.
You and me both.
Cancel it. They want me to call this 800 number, and then I can't call the 800 number, and then it doesn't work, and then I don't even know what to tell them because apparently I don't have a username or an email address logged in with them, but they're still charging me. How does that make sense?
This, I will tell you how it makes sense, and I've got an ear-to-ear David Sampson greedy smile on my face because of how amazing this is. I thought...
How dumb we all are.
No,
this is done on purpose.
No, Stugotz. Not how dumb we are. How sophisticated business entities that now try to end the writers of Hollywood because Bob Iger is at a billionaire's retreat. I thought that Bob Iger's greatest scam before this was what I'm about to explain to you, which is somehow that ESPN was in 120 million homes because of cable bundles when they were dominating all of this, and about 119,500,000 of you were not watching that dumbass show I was doing with my father, but paying for it. A perfect business model. Because they'd get 10 million for Monday nights, but 110 million were paying for ESPN and not regularly watching it. So that's the greatest that you could do as a business.
Genius.
But what I'm telling you is in the evolution, Netflix got ahead and Disney said, wait a minute. We're going to catch you. And you know how we're going to catch you? When we get your money, We're going to put our claws around it and make it more difficult than all the other streaming services for you to get your money back. And we're going to fatigue you into the ground with a bombardment of information to your credit cards. And once we have your money, you're not canceling.
It's literally impossible to cancel
great.
ESPN Plus.
It's great.
You cannot find. No, it's not. It's not great.
It's amazing as a business. I'm delighted at how sinister it is. I'm delighted that the greed would be that brazen. That, damn it, Iger, you haven't taken enough of our money? Now when you get it and we want it back, the answer is no.
I don't even want it back. I just want to stop giving it to you. And I can't do that. I'm not asking for anything back. I just can't figure it out. I've tried so many ways.
Are they in cahoots with my credit card company too? Because how come I can cancel any purchase or payment from my credit card except ESPN+?
Wait till Apple gets a hold of all of this, including Disney. They're going to have your money and you're never going to get it back. Then they're going to have all the money.
I've put up with like 2 years of getting Miami Hurricanes notifications using Chris Whittingham's ESPN Plus account because I used to have ESPN Plus and now apparently I can't log into it because my email doesn't exist in their system. So then I also can't cancel it. So not only am I paying for it, I can't even use it, and I'm using someone else's account and getting all their dumb Inter Miami notifications.
And now their offense is better, so you're actually getting scoring notifications for the Miami Hurricanes.
For the first time.
Well, Dan, this brings me back to Bally Sports and their app, because here's the opposite problem. Is I said, you know what, I'm going to sign up for this deal and I can pay month to month and I will just cancel this when the 3 months are up and the season's done, right? Except last night I go to sign in and I find out that my subscription just canceled itself. And it's like, what? Hold on. This is the one that I want on auto renew. And now I've lost that promotion and I have to pay full price. And I have to decide, do I want to pay $20 to watch 12 more games this season?
It's about to be hell to be a sports fan, right? This is sort of the cost, I think, of the fact that we all realize that it's more fun to watch some of this stuff at home than it is to go into the danger of the drunks and some of the things that happen at stadiums where people get headbutt. You guys are now paying for the comfort and privilege of trying to watch all this stuff at home. You're creating your menu with Bally's to how you're going to consume sports in the future.
Yeah, but sometimes the food doesn't come. Sometimes the food comes and you didn't ask for that certain type of food. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tricky. It's difficult.
The revolution is here, and in the business of all of this, because Skipper, with all that ESPN money, Skipper ripped off the ACC that Miami now tries to win by buying offensive linemen better than someone else buys offensive linemen. Mike Ryan is super excited about this University of Miami football team, but something that's
You're leading the jury again. I don't like that. Mike Ryan is perfectly rational. Perfectly rational?
Rational, yeah.
About
he was just mentioning scoring alerts. That's all. Yeah, scoring alerts.
Perfectly rational.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say, is that Alonzo Highsmith, and I don't know if there's new information on this, but by consensus, Alonzo Highsmith is viewed by the people in the football program to have been the most athletic Miami Hurricane there ever was. He is now still in that program. He was not quite as brash as some of these other guys like Warren Sapp and Michael Irvin, or The Rock later in life. But Alonzo Highsmith, who is a Cane, and through from the time of it's a Cane thing you wouldn't understand, it was also, the undercurrent of that, it's a black thing you wouldn't understand. Alonzo Highsmith, who comes from that time, is looking at something that's just happened that is interesting, Stugotz, that bothers him evidently, because he's running the program now. Alonzo Highsmith and that Columbus contingent is running the program. He's a former Packers scout, and he's a proud Cane. And he's noticed, hey, Michael Irvin, what are you doing with the Seminole over there? Dion. And Warren Sapp is telling Rich Eisen, I'm going to work for Colorado. And The Rock is on campus at Colorado. And it was like, well, you 50-year-old guys who are from the Miami time of it's a Cane thing you wouldn't understand. Do you guys just go where the noises are, or are you Miami? And that's what Alonzo Highsmith is saying. Like, you guys, Michael Irvin loves to tell the story of calling his old dorm room number, when he was in the pros winning championship, and yelling at somebody that they had to be better as a Miami Hurricane representing the Miami Hurricanes. They've all now gone to where Dion is, where the new loud noise is. And so were you guys Canes, or were you guys just a fan of the spectacle and will go where the noise is?
Alonzo is speaking for a very vocal piece of the Miami Hurricanes contingent that was really bothered by what The Rock did over the weekend. Now, I'm certainly not someone to come at anyone for supporting a school they didn't actually go to. I thought it was cool what The Rock was doing. He was very clearly trying to relaunch a brand. He appeared on WWE. It was a great way to get everybody excited.
Mike, that's what The Rock does at this stage of his career.
Right, but I do think it's fair look, The Rock has given to the program in years previous, and he's given substantively, but he hasn't been around lately, and this is a time where we could really use his support. So I think a lot of the people that are trying to build this program, and Alonzo Highsmith being one of them with his GM role, he's actually a big piece of why this year's been successful, because you have an NFL proven talent evaluator looking at the portal, and you have guys coming over from Georgia State that weren't highly touted, and they're making immediate impacts on this Miami Hurricane team. So Alonzo Highsmith is part of the change. And what are you saying is, hey, if you're going to go over there, come here too. We could use you. We could use your dollars, but we could also use your energy on the sidelines.
Well, get a coach that creates that much excitement, has both college pregame shows out there. I mean, Deion Sanders is one of Michael Irvin's best friends. Why would anyone care that Michael Irvin is out there, A, working, B, supporting his best friend?
I understood, Stugotz, but this is about regional identity, and this is about school pride, and this is about something. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Dan, they became the most popular thing in the sport in 2 games because of a head coach and a quarterback.
But
if the
Stugotz,
Canes want that, they want Michael Irvin and The Rock there, go get that.
Stugotz, look,
make Michael Irvin your coach.
I'm not arguing on behalf of me here on this, Stugotz, when I tell you, you must know this. I don't care who works for whom, just make it a lot of fun, great fun, make us a lot of content. But there are people who care about, hey, are you a Hurricane or are you a Seminole? Because, I'm not that person. I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. But there are people who care about those things, and Deion is not a Hurricane.
It didn't bother me as much as it
He's
bothered...
a Buffalo.
It didn't bother me as much as it bothered a lot of other people, but you could tell from The Rock's behavior after that the criticism got to him. He kind of went on a Miami Hurricane apology tour by posting positive things about the Miami football program. Coach Cristobal, he did a redemption interview with Dan Cilio.
Really?
Yeah.
Cilio is still out there?
They're former teammates. Yeah, I actually think The Rock gave an interesting answer where he paused about Mario Cristobal, and they asked him, were you essentially rivals at Miami? I guess they went up against each other a little bit, and he kind of paused when he answered that, but I know that The Rock has done stuff with Oregon in the past, so I don't think it's a Cristobal
Cilio was
issue.
better than The Rock as a football player.
Guys, there's a strike. The Rock's bored. Let him do game day.
Well, okay, but here's the thing, and it's going to sound cynical, but he was just going for attention. That's why everyone is going to Colorado right now. It's because and it sounds crazy to say The Rock is clout chasing, but they're just kind of
he can, so he does.
That's the thing. You're just going because that's the popular thing. You want to be part of it. You want to be on TV. If game day was in Miami, guess who would have been here?
Right.
The Rock would have been here.
You're
he just
right.
wanted to be on game day. He wanted to be in WWE. He wanted to do those things. Let's be real. He was probably paid a nice fat check to be on SmackDown the first time that it's the show after Endeavor took over from Vince McMahon or whatever, right? So when in Rome, oh wait, I could just go and be on game day also the next day. We're gonna do that. I can be on McAfee the day before. Let's do that. I'll be on everything I possibly can within 5 miles of each other and get all the attention I can in these 3 days.
You guys are being maximum reasonable about how a great wrestler and marketer would go about selling his brand post 50. You are being totally reasonable. And you forget the city you live in and the fan base that you're dealing with. And Laz from Cutler Ridge cares what about your nonsense when you say that The Rock needs to have no allegiance.
He's got bigger concerns.
Yeah, I think he's in prison.
Probably
if there's one Laz from Cutler Ridge, you think I'm mentioning one Laz from Cutler Ridge.
Just be careful.
All the Lazes?
It's all of them. All of them.
A lot of people were bothered by it. I think the thing that bothered them most is him wearing a Colorado jersey. It doesn't
get a life.
Yeah, I would say
seriously.
I would kind of lean a little bit more to what Billy is saying, but I would also say hey, just do some of that here too. We could use your help because this is everybody that was on College Game Day and on their sidelines and is super excited about Coach Prime What we're trying to build down here is to be that level of excitement a couple years from now, and they're all going to be back down here. And we could have really used them after Middle Tennessee State. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
There was a former Notre Dame wide receiver who went on a podcast and said if Notre Dame played Colorado, he might root for Colorado just because of the Deion phenomenon.
Well, I mean, LeBron's rooting for Deion, and a lot of this is
everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon.
Well, it's not just
including
that.
60 Minutes.
But you have a lot of sports personalities.
Most streamed 60 Minutes clip on YouTube right now.
Shame on them. They're not in it for clicks. I mean,
Sadat only got 30,000 views.
Well, I see that we now have a board on talking about Deion.
Yeah, it's not moving today.
But a huge part of the Deion cultural phenomenon, and you see the numbers that he got for Colorado State. It's absurd. But a lot of it is touting black excellence and rallying around this proud black man who has a very front-facing family, who is doing things differently. And you see all these athletes that also kind of want to. I don't want to use the term skip the line because Deion paid his dues in the way that he did, but they all kind of want that fast track too, and they desperately want this to work, which is why they're aggressively rooting for Deion outside of just being a fan of Deion the athlete.
But that's why the Rock support is bigger than Miami. You know what I mean? Like for The Rock and other people, it's just bigger than just Miami.
Nothing is bigger than Miami. You don't understand, to the thousands of Lazes from Cutler Ridge. Tony, we objectify Tony and get some football knowledge next.
Hey, folks, it's Mike Ryan. How you liking this football season so far? It's our national obsession, and there's only one thing that can somehow make football better. Think about it. You know what I'm about to tell you. Miller time. That's right, that beautiful white can of just 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving is exactly what you need to supplement your football experience. From kickoff to the clock runs out, you just can't go wrong with Miller Lite right in your hand. It's the only light beer with a taste worthy of football. Because what's the point of having a beer if it doesn't taste like beer? There's so many competitors out there. The market is saturated. But Miller Lite is head and shoulders above everybody else because of that one thing. It's a light beer that tastes like beer. You get all the taste you crave without the calories. Make Miller time all season long. Make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Sometimes it's super tough to fit working out into your fall schedule. Between back to school, work obligations, family, and the return of football, fitness often falls down your priority list as a result. But your fitness shouldn't fall into that trap, especially if you're spending your hard-earned dollars on it. Enter the Peloton app. Motivation that moves you, hooks you, and works for a variety of budgets. At Peloton, your routine should never feel routine. Flip the script this fall by tapping into Peloton's endless variety of exercise options with Peloton Bike and Bike Plus. From intervals to club banger rides, your workouts can go from can't face to can't wait. Plus, Peloton's not just a class, it's a fitness entertainment mashup that'll have you whooping along at the top of your lungs and telling your friends afterwards. Plus, it really works. 90% of Peloton households that join at the start of the year are still active 12 months later. Unsure? We've got you. Try Peloton Bike or Bike Plus free for 30 days. Not for you? Return it for a full refund. Find your zone with a 30-day worry-free home trial of Peloton bikes. Visit onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Don Le Batard.
How do people always go missing in the mountains? Don't go to the mountains. And by the way, I don't want to bring race into it. This is the most white people thing ever. Going missing in the middle of the mountains. It's the strangest thing. You go by yourself. You don't take a radio. You don't take a phone. You're missing for 4 days, and they find you like 10 years later covered in snow. And it's like, don't go by yourself. If you're going to go on a trail, don't go by yourself.
Stugotz.
Put it on the poll. Is it the whitest person thing ever? I believe is what you called it. Going into the woods by yourself. Is going into the woods by yourself?
I can't disagree with that, man.
I mean, so black people don't camp?
Yeah, black people don't hike. They don't camp. They don't go out into the woods.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Jessica, I am genuinely curious how it is that you have viewed something in the Billy-Tony relationship that genuinely confounds me. Because it seems to me when I watch them together that Billy always gravitates toward where Tony is. There is a lot of laughter.
Who doesn't?
It is loud. It is happy. It is Hispanic. But I also feel like Billy is doing everything he can to undercut Tony at every turn. And Tony's too much of a meathead.
Horse hockey.
too much of a meathead to understand that Billy is wiser than he is and that Billy is manipulating him.
Mean.
Thank you.
People, Dan, have said that it's very brotherly, but I feel like it's very first cousinly in the way that, like, you might not like your first cousin, but, like, it doesn't really matter. You have to be friends with them because you see them all the time at family gatherings.
But he seems happier.
But you guys are really similar.
So they can kiss?
But he seems so happy, again, with this. We're going to objectify Tony in a second. But you can leer at him because we made Tony take his shirt off. This is the only, I know you are. This is the only device. You don't have any other move other than
the creepy uncle.
To be clear, you can't kiss your cousins, though, like in case there's any questions there.
We have had to dress up this top 5 of Tony.
Or dress down.
Or dress it down because it needs to get more attention because Tony's trying to find a place on the show, and it's a crowded show. There are a lot of people talking into a lot of microphones, and I don't think Billy's rooting for Tony to succeed here. Do I have it wrong?
Yes.
I wasn't asking you.
Dan, it's hard to tell. And that's why I feel like they're like cousins. Because it doesn't really matter if they're rooting for each other or not. They're stuck with one another. As long as they're at the same family gathering of the Love and
Well, but
Charge show.
Billy seems, there's no disputing that Billy seems happier around him than anyone else, correct? Happier and louder.
Is it just because it's Tony or just because it's not Stugotz?
It's Tony
That's
and
a whole
it's
thing.
Tony and Lewis,
Thanks,
but it's
Billy.
also because I believe that in this particular,
Kiss and makeup?
it is fairly amazing that Tony takes this beating and keeps coming back with his tail wagging happy. When I'm like, man, that's borderline cruel what Billy just did to him, but with laughter behind it.
Wait a second. What am I doing to him that's so bad?
You're mean to him.
I don't think so.
You just called him a meathead, Dan.
Billy,
so-
you say to Tony when something yesterday on the show, you did it on the show. You do this all the time. Tony makes a joke and he goes P.S. For some reason, instead of saying porn star, he goes P.S. And the show stopped dead in its tracks, except I hear one stray Billy. Way to put that in there. One stray Billy.
Classic Billy.
Way to you were mocking him. He was already feeling failure because he made the show stop dead in its tracks.
He doesn't feel failure. That's the good thing about Tony is that he doesn't learn. Like he which sounds like an insult, but it's really a compliment in this industry. He doesn't learn, so he's just going to keep shooting. He's not going to. He's Swaggy P, where he throws up a 3 and turns around before the shot goes in and is celebrating. That's
Shooters
Tony.
shoot. Yeah,
exactly.
shooters keep shooting. But Billy, I am told now. Can you confirm this? I am told by a source that every day you walk in here, you see Tony. You ask him, "You still work here?"
Not exactly like that. There is schedule. Look, there's a schedule, and a lot of days Tony's not on the schedule. He's here anyway, so I say, "What are you doing here?"
He's trying.
It's a fair question.
Yeah, well,
I think.
he's trying to crack. He's working his ass off.
Working in the office. It's a novel concept.
Well, I mean, but you go out there and then you hear him talking about friggin' Egyptians and lasers and satellites and
Yeah.
things. You're like,
Working
what?
on it.
Advantage Billy, actually.
And so I asked him to dress up his top 5, that it has to be better than it was last year. And so now we're getting beefcake. We're going to go out to the pool here at the lovely Elser Hotel, luxury, right across from the arena downtown Miami. It is a new and popular hotel, and we're right at the center of it. And it's got great amenities, crazy amenities. I haven't seen amenities like those. They got 2 stories of pool and weight room, and that's all you need in Miami. And Tony, last time he joined us, it's all you need for a hotel.
You're so right.
It is, but it's beautiful. It's indisputably beautiful. I could say that better. And Tony is out by the pool right now. I love that sound. Tony, are you ready? Can you hear us to do your top 5?
Oh, I've been listening to the entire segment. Funny enough, Billy's wiser than I am, smarter, a smart guy, but I'm the one in the pool at work, so you tell me.
Yeah.
See there? He's got you.
I did go up there in between to see, make sure everything was on the up and up with Tony and check in on him. And I was like, you have this figured out. Like, you're at work, but you're just hanging out in the pool for like an hour. Like, how is this happening? He's like, because that's what he says for everything.
Tony seems hurt by the way that he was introduced.
Really hard to tell.
Please.
He did not like
Dan, I can't be hurt. That's the thing
Told
about
you.
what Billy got right. You guys can talk shit. You guys can be like, oh, he's a meathead. He does this. He does that. Why is he here? He's talking about lasers. We'll get to that in a second, by the way. Satellites, lasers, all that stuff.
He wrote
Very
down the
interesting.
website for me
I've
where
done
he
some
steals
research.
games, by the way.
Whoa, steals is not the right word. Anyways, all that to say, I'm here in the Miami sun. I got people around me. I'm watching Mad Dog Wednesdays on First Take. Very exciting.
That's a giant television out there. It's a wonderful television.
Yeah.
It's the best way to watch First Take. Can we go to your top 5 here in just a second as I tell the audience, Stugotz, because Tony is a Miami scammer, but Miami might actually, the University of Miami might actually be back. The U, I haven't said that in 20 years. The U might
I said
be
it 2 weeks ago.
back. I know, you say it every week,
Right.
and you have for 20 years, and it doesn't mean anything.
I'm rooting for Mike.
But the reason I'm willing to say it after 20 years for the first time is because the Miami Hurricanes, and this is a most Miami story because college football is changing a great deal. Cam McCormick, a tight end for the University of Miami, has petitioned the ACC for a 9th year of college eligibility, and that story has exploded on Hood Ratchet TV.
Oh, we're back.
Hood
the
Ratchet,
Sam Hartman of tight ends.
Hood Ratchet TV is making the claim as its top story that the Miami Hurricanes, and it's accurate, have a tight end who is petitioning the ACC for his 9th year of eligibility.
Which would set a record, by the way. Now, he is a transfer from Oregon. He was actually granted that 9th year by the Pac-12, which is going to be the Pac-2 next year, I think. So he needs to reapply and petition, which is what he's doing right now with the ACC, who has been stingy with this. Ask UNC, ask FSU. They've been mad stingy.
Stingy with 9th years of eligibility.
He spent 7 seasons at Oregon.
That's right.
Do you run out of classes at some point to take? Are you just like taking like a biology 101 for funsies in your 9th year?
Yeah.
Like you got to take some classes, right?
Great.
What are you doing?
If I could come back, I'd like to do it.
There's
that
always
way.
electives. As someone who graduated with 180 credits, there's always electives
9 years
out there.
of college.
Partially
Tony,
a COVID thing, right?
I have been waiting, Tony, for 4 days for this. Finally, we are getting to Tony's top 5 football observations. Let's do it from the weekend. Give me the music.
Give me my theme music. All right, guys, Tony's top 5, as usual, hated by most, but sponsored by all the haters, capitulators, and scammers everywhere. Very exciting weekend, week 2 of the NFL. We start in the OLI. Anthony Richardson is special,
Oh, already?
but so is Gardner Minshew.
Oh, again with Minshew.
He's a special quarterback, Dan. He's a guy that you always want to have on your team. Stu, back me up on that.
He is. No, he's a solid backup, reliable backup. Wish the Jets had him.
Number 5. The pool is great today, by the way. Just an observation.
That was the observation.
Was that number 5?
The pool is great today.
Wait,
Is it
was that
number 5?
number 5?
The pool is great today.
No, that was editorialization.
Pick up the pace a little. We have 2 minutes
Number
left.
5, just an observation. But Puka Nacua is on pace for the greatest statistical season in NFL history.
Yeah, he's a player.
213 catches, 226.1 yards.
What was that?
I don't know what I did there.
Okay, what happened there? Was there a point? Was there a decimal
He's
point?
reading off of a phone. Did you get a text?
Did the meathead trip over a decimal?
Somebody texted me, and it went right over the number. 2261 yards.
I hate when that happens.
Nonetheless, an NFL record.
Stugotz.
Was that text from Billy?
Wait,
Yes, it was.
Billy is now texting
He's gonna
furiously.
pepper you.
Billy is texting you furiously.
Tony.
Go ahead, Tony. Be careful. He's trying to ruin the segment. Number 3.
No, number 4.
It's a fine.
I'm officially worried about the Bengals.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They were 0-2 to start last year.
Yeah, but Burrow was healthy
I know, but
last
I'm
year.
And how many
officially
Super
worried.
Bowls did they win last year?
Wow,
Good
that
question.
was
Atta girl,
quick.
Jess.
Rings, trophies.
Number 3. Brock Purdy has never lost in the regular season. 10-1 in his career, and his only loss was when he hurt his elbow. You know what that makes him, Dan?
Undefeated. Perfect.
Mr. Relevant.
Jessica, why did
Get it,
your
'cause he was
head
Mr.
just
Irrelevant?
fall into
We
your
got it.
hands? Yeah.
Do it in
Now
the
he's Mr.
playoffs,
Relevant.
Tony.
Sounded like Billy texted him somewhere in that statement, but we can move on.
He's
He's been texting me
sinister.
nonstop.
He's
This has been
laughing.
terrible, by the way.
He
This is
is.
going well.
He is. Well, it's because Billy's distracting him. Billy is texting him nonstop.
Well, because here's the thing. He's lost kind of his bit. He's turning this into weekend observations now. This is Tony's top 5. Do what you do, not
No,
weekend
this has always been the
observations.
same bit. No.
And we're out of time.
Number 2.
Billy,
Number 2.
You got 30 seconds for 2 observations.
Billy ruined
Powering
it.
through. Yes, he was. Okay, guys, hold on. Here you go. Yes, he was 3 inches short. But the NFL should have let Cole Strange get that first down on the lateral and kept the game going.
Yes. Yes. Billy, stop texting.
Big men need love too.
Number 1. We got 15 seconds left.
Number
Billy,
1.
stop it.
15 seconds. I'm going to nail it. Here you go. I know the Falcons are 2-0. But Desmond Ridder can't stop seeing a shadow over his shoulder. That shadow in the form of a lizard. A green lizard. Heineke's there. He's waiting for him. Waiting for him to mess up so he can take this team to the next level.
Billy, how do you feel?
That was Tony's Top 5 live from the pool.
It was 15 seconds long, and Billy successfully ruined it.
Hey, it's Roy from the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. U.S. Cellular knows how important your kids' relationship with technology is, and they've made it their mission to help them establish good digital habits early on. That's why they've partnered with Screen Sanity, a nonprofit dedicated to helping kids navigate the digital landscape. And for a smarter start to the school year, U.S. Cellular is offering a free basic phone on new eligible lines, providing an alternative to a smartphone for children. Start smarter with U.S. Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/builtforus to find out more. Terms apply.
Dan Le Batard.
I got somebody here making fun of me. How old do you have to be to reference Shecky Green? Man, I went comedically there with the funny name of a comedian. That's on you for not knowing who Shecky Green is.
Oh, you got to know who Shecky Green is.
No, you don't have to know who Shecky Green is, but
your ally.
Yeah, I don't like my allies
King
here.
of the Borscht Belt.
Stugotz.
I have the soul of a Borscht Belt comedian. I should be in the Catskills in 1945. Opening for Shecky Green. That's who I was destined to be.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Joining us from the regal surroundings of what may be an office or may be a closet, Jake Tapper, professional journalist of the highest order.
Did someone close the door? Or?
That was yesterday that happened during our Adam McKay conversation. Jake Tapper's been waiting there for 24 hours in this closet and office to do this interview. And I want to talk to him about politics and being the chief Washington correspondent for CNN and just what's happened to CNN over the last few years and just fracturing of news in general. Because he's trying to do good work. He's trying to do honest and factual and objective work. And at these political times, Stugotz, this is a controversial liberal who, runs far left and the country falls apart around Nazis in Tallahassee as Jake Tapper holds on to the old style news and tries to do it the right way factually and loses at every turn. Even though he's great at what he does because journalism has fallen into disrepair and decay. But before we get to that, Stugotz has not been able to shut up since he heard Jake Tapper was coming on because he wanted to give Jake Tapper a top 5 of greatest Philadelphia sports personalities of all time.
Well, I have a top 5 Philadelphia athletes of all time. I also have the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia athletes.
All right.
So whichever one Jake wants.
But are those different? Are those Mount Rushmore? How would those be different?
Well, top 5 is 5. Mount Rushmore is 4.
But would they be different lists?
They would not be different lists. So I could do the top 5. I think the top 5 is the way to go.
Why did you just do that if they're...
I told you I had a Mount Rushmore. I just had to add one now because I told you it was a Mount
thank
Rushmore.
You for all your help. You've been great so far. You know what's amazing to me? Jake, we'll get to you in a second.
I mean, it was a Mount Rushmore. I told you beforehand.
Now, let me explain what's happening
Jake was waiting for the door to be
closed.
Just
hold on, big guy. Hold on.
That was yesterday.
Hold on.
So my bad.
This is what happens. I will, Jake, we'll get to you in a second.
Glue with hands and feet.
Forgive me. You want to share with the audience everything that happened there? Because during the McKay interview yesterday,
that
was off air. Billy, off air, talked about our audience funding Adam McKay and people gluing their feet to the floor in stadiums because you and Billy, off air, not on air, were questioning his good and charitable work.
Right.
I want to explain to the audience, and forgive me, Jake, for this digression. That's great. Just some jackhammering, some drilling in the background. Perfect. I want to explain to the audience that what's happening here is the slow and steady deterioration of Stugotz, who by the end of the day can no longer do his job because he's talking too much, and he loses track of where he is, not unlike Greg Cody. Just gets lost and has no idea at the end of the day, or in this case, the middle of the day.
It's
because
noon.
Jake Tapper has been waiting here since yesterday.
Right.
Stugotz is delirious, and so it's not merely that somehow that's the worst top 5 I've ever heard him do. With top 5 Mount Rushmore, didn't realize that they'd be the same. His top 5 lists of quarterbacks the other day, he is that I'm still infuriated by because of how bad it was. What is the list you're giving Jake Tapper here of top 5 Philadelphia people? Please.
Okay, I'll give you the list. It's top 5 Philadelphia athletes of all time. You ready, Jake? Because you're a big Philadelphia sports fan. Number 5. Number 5 is Bobby Clark.
Nice.
Okay, good.
Respectable.
Thank you. Number 4, Moses Malone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 3. Now, the reason Moses is on there, and you're not going to hear about Dr. J, is because Dr. J never won without Moses. You get what I'm saying?
Dr. J's not on the list.
No, he's not. Yeah,
Oh, my
Moses
God.
is. Yeah.
Well, why are you
Dr.
giving us-
J needed Moses because I know Jake's going to argue this after the fact.
But why
so I
are
just
you
wanna get
giving
to it
us
now.
the list before you've given us the top 3? You just told us that Dr. J's not in. How do you not know how to do a top 5 list? How is that possible?
Chairman of the boards, Moses Malone, has to be on the list. That's his nickname, Dan. Did you know that? Chairman of the boards. You want to know why?
Shocker.
Yeah.
It's a shocker.
Yeah. A lot of boards. Number 3. You ready?
Yeah.
Mike Golick.
Oh, dear God.
Mike Golick was a great defensive lineman, and then parlayed that with the Eagles into the biggest radio show in America.
Dear God.
Jerome Brown was on the
Dear
same line.
God.
So was Reggie White. Number 2, it's my list, Roy. Number
Offended.
2,
I'm personally offended.
Nick Foles, Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Nick Foles.
Yep.
A dreadful list.
Yep.
One of his worst ever, and that's saying something.
Number 1, Jake, Rocky Balboa.
A fictional character. You don't have Mike Schmidt.
Let Jake respond.
He is
Michael Jack Schmidt. Have some respect.
You look embarrassed for him. You look.
I mean, you had me and then you lost me.
Right.
I was with you on Bobby Clark.
Right. We started off good.
I don't think there's anything I agreed with you after that.
Rocky, huh? Anyone else have a statue in that city? Or
I think the list actually honestly has to be, let's just do the real list. Bobby Clark.
Yep.
Hold on, Jake. Video. Can you please zoom in on the piece of spit that Stugotz has on his lip as he tries to share the broadcasting? No.
What happened?
Still there.
I didn't even hear it.
All right.
Jake, are you doing a top 5 or a Mount Rushmore? What are you doing?
I'll do top 5.
Get in
Okay,
there,
good.
video. Get in right there, video. There it is. Just truly disgusting.
Oh.
Doesn't even move when you lick it.
Oh, some chicken.
Go ahead, Jake. I'm
Bobby
sorry.
Clark, Dr. J, Mike Schmidt.
Michael Jack.
Am I crazy to say Jalen Hurts? Am I crazy to?
Oh my God. That's
Definitely not. Yes.
offensive.
Definitely not.
Nick
crazy.
Foles has a ring. I mean, Philly special.
I'll throw Nick Foles in there, but
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Yes!
Prisoner of the moment, Jalen Hurts with Mike Schmidt. What are you doing?
the season's starting. I'm trying to get excited.
How are you about your sports teams? Are you someone who yells at a television when the Eagles are losing
Yes.
the Super Bowl?
Yes, I am way too emotionally invested in any of it. It's very upsetting. I am very pleased to admit to announce that I have a son. He's about to turn 14, and just in the last year he got into football, and now I have somebody to watch football with. So it's been 14. It's been since I got married, watching football by myself.
All right.
So now I get to watch it with
but this is perfect because Chris Cody revealed to us yesterday that he's a annoying football fan. Jake Tapper's watching with his son. What are the things that he is shouting at the television, like holding, that's coming back, or free ball or whatever? What are the things that you're screaming at your television?
Free play.
Free play. Yes, I'm sorry. Free ball is a totally different thing to shout.
That's a bullshit call. You gotta want it when there's messing up. There's that kind of thing.
You gotta want it.
Standard stuff.
Protect the rock.
You're telling Jason Kelsey he's gotta want it.
Yeah, you gotta want it. Yeah, no, it's usually not aimed at Kelsey. It's never aimed at Kelsey.
You gotta want it, man.
I'm going up for October 1st. I'm very excited. This is the insanity of having a teenage boy who loves football. He wanted for his birthday for me to take him up to Philly. I live in D.C. For me to take him up to Philly and go to an Eagles game and sit in the stands. And I'm like, that is my pleasure to give you that present. To spend too much money on that for you, entirely for you. I will do that.
What is the most moved you've been by Philadelphia sports?
I was at the Super Bowl in 2018 when they beat the Patriots. That was like hugging strangers moment. That was tears moment.
So
that was
Nick Foles then would be your number one for delivering that as the backup quarterback, delivering that moment.
And I wanted them to keep him and trade Wentz. I was very clear. I'm on an email chain of Philadelphia diaspora Congress and reporters and such, and we constantly weigh in on sports and such. But that was I wanted them to keep Foles. I just think he had a magic with the team. It's hard to argue with Jalen Hurts, but still, I mean, like I thought he had something magic.
Wait, is it terrible? You're on a text string. Are you telling us that what you're basically on is a message board that passes for celebrity journalist, sports radio?
It's an email chain, and the rule is nobody can change the subject line. So it's this one. It's like re all about meeting at some bar for a Super Bowl for a football game like in 2016. And it's a very select group. It's up to 100 now. One of our big coups was when we got Jim Gardner, which Stugotz will know who that is. Jim Gardner, who was like the Walter Cronkite of Philadelphia. When we got him on the chain, it was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But explain this to me, please. It's just you geeking out on sports radio topics. It's just a community of sports dorks who want it.
And no other topic is allowed. There are Republican congressmen on it, Democratic congressmen on it, reporters.
It's a safe space for people to talk about sports reasonably, something they can't do in politics or journalism.
100%. No politics. There are two rules. Can't change the subject line. No politics. That's it.
And what is the most flabbergasting or hottest take I would find on there if I were trying to find something that would make the Eskin family proud?
The biggest. I think right now the biggest. Everybody's really hand-wringing about the Eagles right now, who are 2-0. But if you watch the games, those are not great victories. I said it was like having a kid who misbehaves and you make it to the third week of school and he has yet to be expelled, but you're not really rejoicing. That's what it feels like. I think
how little trust, man. How little trust in a champion caliber team that you would think after 2 games they haven't won by enough.
But we're Philadelphia fans, so we're always on edge.
Right.
The role of Schwarber in the lineup for the Phillies has always been, this season, it's been hotly debated whether or not he should be there.
Stugotz loves Schwarber.
We all do, but sometimes he can be hit or miss.
What do you mean? He's all the time hit or miss. He's got more home runs than singles. Like, what do you mean? That's all he is, and he hits like a 180.
It's not a good expression for baseball, I suppose.
But he is most maximum hit or miss. Like
he has 45 singles, 45 homers.
Yeah, he's a keg softball player.
Yeah,
right. Whether he should be leading off is I think the big debate.
Huh? How far does Mitch McConnell think the Phillies are going to go?
Tapper, explain this to me. How is it that someone with a great deal of power is freezing multiple times while speaking to me?
It's a mystery. It's a mystery that a number of these individuals, I think the most shocking one is Senator Feinstein, to be honest, because she is the one that cognitively seems truly the most impaired. But I have to say, having been in this town for decades now, it really is remarkable. It's not a lot of them, but there are a number of members of Congress who are, they age into death while in office, and it's kind of hidden from everybody as much as possible for a number of reasons. One, often they're on their like third or fourth wife, and that individual doesn't want to give up the power she has arrived upon, and neither did the chiefs of staff. If the governor is from a different party, they don't want to give up the seat. It's just a mess. It's ugly to see. I've been seeing it since I came here in the 90s, and Strom Thurmond was jumping all over the place, grabbing people with his big claw, his big talon.
Jake, don't you feel like you're just losing all the time? It doesn't mean that your fight is not righteous, but given how brazen and corrupt and contaminated all of this has gotten, that the power grabs are that overt and that corruption is that rampant, that right now what you're seeing in America is a shamelessness you've never seen. Don't you feel like you're always losing?
I think it is. I think no, but I do think there is something to what you're saying in the sense that if the best defense that Democrats can come up for the Hunter Biden situation is, well, sure, it looks awful and he shouldn't have been making millions of dollars off his dad's name for jobs he wasn't qualified for. But that happens a lot in Washington. If that's the best defense, then why are people not trying to fix that instead of use that as a defense? It's pretty dispiriting, I think. But by the same token, it's also, I think, gratifying to point it out and challenge people to think about the status quo that way.
CNN itself is seemingly changing in voice and enduring turbulent leadership. I'm not asking you to speak ill of your boss. I am asking you to walk me through what you've seen happen at CNN over the last, 5 years, where you see CNN news contaminated by content and editorial decisions that are being made by people who don't necessarily care about objective or straightforward news.
Well, I think that we have a great new boss, Mark Thompson, who used to be at the New York Times and the BBC. And he's just taken over, and he seems to be a real professional. And, one of the things beyond the challenge of editorial and guiding a news organization through the situation we're in the country right now, where so many people are just siloing themselves off with news organizations that have opinions that they agree with and just trying to keep away from objective news, is the business idea of news, the tectonics that are shifting underneath our feet. You see it when Charter and Disney get into a big fight, and people talk about the cable business not being profitable, and James Corden retires and CBS doesn't even replace him. Like all those things that are happening that someday we'll be able to look back and say, well, that was the sign of these things changing. The writer's strike is part of it, the streamers. So hopefully Mark Thompson will be part of getting us to the other side. I think there will always be a role for live, objective cable news. I do think that, Donald Trump is a disruptor. And I think that, sometimes that's for the good and sometimes it's for the bad. And one of the things that was for the bad is that during his presidency, he made facts and truth into partisan debate. If you told the truth about him, you were biased, whether you were a Republican or a Democrat. He still attacks Fox. If Fox is saying something nice about Ron DeSantis, he attacks Fox as fake news. So his doing that, I think, disrupted a lot of news organizations. And, Fox having to pay that huge settlement, $787.5 million to Dominion, is an example of that. They got so wrapped up in being allegiant to the lies that Trump was telling that they didn't remember that you're not allowed to do that if you're defaming someone. So I think that, during that period, every news organization got knocked off their equilibrium a little bit. And I think that CNN was no exception. And I think, everybody needed to recalibrate a little. And I think that we're in a good place right now. That's my basic take.
I have two final questions for you here, and I should remind the audience, I admire him for a lot of different reasons. One of them is in his spare time, he just writes books. Books are hard to write.
And he did. This is a novel that I wrote called All the Demons Are Here.
We will get to that in a moment with you, but I wanted to ask you before we talked about that if that was a puppet over your right shoulder.
Oh, it's a Muppet. Yeah, look.
Okay.
Nice.
Looks like Bert.
So thank you.
No, it's supposed to be me.
It's supposed to be you. Okay.
You sell the book, maybe?
Somebody on Twitter. Somebody on Twitter made it.
Would you use him to sell the book right now, please?
Yes.
All the demons are here. Jake Tapper is here as a ventriloquist with his Muppet of some sort. Go ahead and sell your book. Why should people read this?
It is a great, thrilling novel, and
I need you to hide your mouth a little bit better than
Right.
that.
That's a younger Jake Tapper, though. I mean,
I'm not good at this.
Okay, do it the best you can. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to make you a ventriloquist instead of a professional journalist. Now you're quitting entirely. You refuse to be made a fool of.
I tried to do it as professionally as I could. And you got
never enough for Dan.
Never
You got greedy.
Okay, I'm sorry. All the demons are here. Please tell the people why they should be reading your book.
It's just a fun thriller. It takes place in 1977. There are two main characters. One is Ike. He's an AWOL Marine, and he finds himself on the pit crew of Evel Knievel. So that's in Montana. And Evel Knievel in this book runs for president. And I have I played that out as one might. There was actually an Evel Knievel presidential run as a stunt in 1972, but this I take it a little further in 1977. And that story kind of explores the idea of why people like Evel Knievel have followers, why that kind of American archetype, the salesman, the showman, gets followers. Because as you know, he wasn't a particularly gifted motorcyclist. He just had a lot of bravado, and he was willing to do things that others weren't.
All right, Tony is shocked by this. Put this on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Did you know that Evel Knievel was not a particularly gifted motorcyclist?
It's outrageous.
Outrageous. Outrageous, what you say. Blasphemer.
And then the other character is his sister Lucy, and she joins a new tabloid in Washington D.C. and she's tracking down a serial killer. And the new owner of the newspaper is based on Rupert Murdoch. And so that story gets into, it's not just a whodunit, but also looks into why we have this kind of tabloid journalism in our lives today, which started really in 1977 because that was the summer of Sam. That's when the New York Post and Murdoch really exploded in American pop culture.
Look at me, Lucy.
He is excellent at what he does. All the Demons Are Here is the new book. Last thing as you leave here for the day, and thank you again for making time for us. The most trusted news person right now is blank. You come from an ancient time of distinguished anchormen, used to be the most important voice in news. It is really fractured right now. So the most trusted person in news right now is blank.
Well, I mean, it's egocentric for me to say me, but I really hoped that people feel that way about me because I really try to earn their trust every day. I mean, I could say Anderson, I could say Wolf, I could say Aaron, I could say Dana, I could say any number of the colleagues with whom I work, and I would mean it about them. But I'd be a fool not to say me.
Yep, you or Schefter.
See you later. Thank you, Jake. Good talking to you.
Thanks, guys. Always good to talk.
See you, Jake.